The issue here that needs to be ventilated is a question of how could VBS have been rescued. So VBS has been put under curatorship, and the reason a bank will be put under curatorship is when the regulator of the banks, being the South African Reserve Bank, forms the opinion that the way its cash flows are being managed is not the most ideal way to keep the bank going. So initially what you want to be able to ensure is that if people deposit money into a bank and when they come to ask for the money, they should be able to get their money. I think the Zuma loan obviously elevated the profile of the bank, but that is one loan of 8 million rand in a much bigger book. So I don't think for them that's the thing that was always going to determine the fate of the bank. What seems to have happened, of course, is that with that public profile, then you saw a lot of municipalities then saying, oh, actually we also want to invest in that particular bank. It looks like, you know, it's chasing transformation. It's a black-owned bank, so let us put some deposits there. But unfortunately, the Municipal Financial Management Act, as it is right now, doesn't allow municipalities to do that. So of course you had this tension where these 21 municipalities were putting money into the bank, but that actually was not allowed. And the only way it could have been allowed to stand is if the finance minister, in consultation with the bank, then gave approval for those deposits to be put there. And unfortunately that approval never came, and then the municipalities had to take the money out. The issue here that needs to be ventilated is a question of how could VBS have been rescued. So of course they seem to have had a high dependence or a high reliance on these few municipal deposits that they receive from the 21 municipalities. If they had a much wider and a much more diverse depositor base, then of course this liquidity problem would have never arisen. So the question that we'd rather deliberate on is how do we ensure that they get access to a much bigger market, to a much more diversified depositor base, so that they actually then can access funding from a much wider range of sources than having to depend on municipalities and state-owned enterprises. And once we get that mix right, then of course the bank will be able to thrive.